We're joined by Brian Hayes. So, Brian, Juraj Slafkovsky was getting trolled by the Coyotes last night. That's a tough look.
Yes.
The Coyotes social media team posting that Vince McMahon video that's been going around with the caption, "When you don't draft Logan Cooley, #1." What are your thoughts on all this trolling right now?
I think considering it's Arizona and they play at a college hockey rink, that's over-the-top trolling and probably lacking some self-awareness, right? But they're happy with Cooley. They should be happy with Cooley. This is modern technology, right? Doing what it's supposed to do. This is social media accounts. This isn't the GM in Arizona,
right,
as you know, Glenn. It's not the owner. It's not the head coach. It's probably like a 23, 24-year-old intern that's like, I'm going to grill this guy. But it's not a good look for Slafkovsky. It's not a good look for the Habs. And I think if you're Montreal Canadiens fans, you have to be getting concerned here. Like, he's really, really struggling, right? He played 14 minutes in Arizona, didn't register a shot. He barely has the puck on his stick. And that is consistent with people that you talk to that are around the team every single day. He just does not feel like an NHL player. And now you're getting trolled by a team that doesn't play in an NHL rink.
Yeah.
Not good.
First overall pick, sort of approaching that Nail Yakupov territory, if we dare use that term. Slafkovsky hasn't scored in 31 games. That dates back to last year. Just 1 assist in his last 25. Is this a player that needs to develop away from the NHL right now in your mind?
Yes, he's not an NHL player.
Yeah.
Like, it's blunt. It's that easy, I think, at this point, Glenn. You cannot watch Slafkovsky and believe that he is NHL caliber right now, which means you either send him to the American Hockey League, maybe you send him back to Europe, but I think that ship is probably sailed. I think we're talking Laval here, and I think you commit 20 games, 30 games. Even if he goes down there and lights it up, that's great.
Right.
And this is always going to be a complicated issue because you're dealing with ownership that's involved with the first overall pick. The marketing department's involved. The fans are excited, clearly. But the priority of this season for Montreal, even though they've had a really good start, really, really impressive start, they're still thinking 3 years down the road, I believe, 5 years down the road. And Slafkovsky has to be a pillar of this organization with Caulfield, with Suzuki. Kirby Dach is now injured. So I think it's still about the big picture, and the big picture should include Slafkovsky playing somewhere else, because I don't think he's developing here. I don't think you can develop at the NHL level. And at this point, the stats are just getting so daunting. They're just going against him at such a poor level. Again, Arizona's trolling him. You got to wonder about his confidence at this point.
Yeah, you look at how many shifts it is between goals, and it's in like the 300 or 400s. Imagine jumping over the boards 400 times and back over and not scoring a goal. That's tough for the confidence.
That is a real burden on your confidence. And he understands he's a first overall pick.
Right.
Like, he understands why they drafted him. This guy was not showing up to be a defensive dynamo or a physical presence on the fourth line or a stay-at-home defenseman. They brought him in here to grow and eventually contribute offensively. No one's that shocked when a 19-year-old struggles. That's not a surprise. That's not exclusive to Slafkovsky. But those numbers, again, they keep getting wider and wider and wider. And at this point, I'd be really curious how the Montreal Canadiens continue to convince themselves that this is the right play for him.
And what about the head coach, Marty St. Louis, who seems to be sort of tap dancing around the issue, maybe lowering the bar, even, if you will. He complimented Slafkovsky for touching the puck more often, stressing what he does with it is secondary at this point. Checking the stats, Slafkovsky touches the puck for 27 seconds per game in the offensive zone. This is a first overall pick, so what do you think of St. Louis' approach here?
I think he's between a rock and a hard place because, again, Marty St. Louis, in the NHL, you're there to win games. Like, that is why you coach, to win games. The GM, the president, maybe the owner, they can have a big picture approach and be thinking 3-year plan, 5-year plan. The head coach is not supposed to. The head coach is supposed to step into every game and think, how do I game plan to win right now? And you have veterans on this team that might be playing for contracts or playing for their own legacies or possibly playing to be traded in the future and move on. So Marty St. Louis understands his priority should be winning games and making sure that everyone has that same mentality. Yet, he's not oblivious to the fact that they tanked, they bottomed out. This was going to be a process. And again, Slafkovsky is a pillar of that process. So he's trying to protect him. But I don't think you can marry the two at the NHL level. I don't think you can have a dogged attack at 2 points every single night and be thinking, who is going to give me the best opportunity to do that? But also marry it with, I'm going to develop a 19-year-old kid. And I think that's what's clashing right now with Marty St. Louis and the Montreal Canadiens.
This debate will rage on until something happens here with Slafkovsky in Montreal, one way or the other. Thanks for this, Hayes, and make sure you at home like and subscribe for all the latest content from 7-Eleven. That's hockey.